Boom, we're
All right,
recording.
we're recording. Can you see when we're recording?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So, we are going to talk about how to, what do we want to call this? Spark the conversation about Beachbody with people. And I think we can take it both ways, I guess, because I think sparking a conversation with somebody about being a coach versus being a customer could be two different conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I mean, I feel like we've gone over in the past a lot of different ways to kind of build your audience, especially using, Facebook, Instagram, like social media type things. So I don't know if we should really focus on that aspect of it. More or less like, let's just talk about the conversation piece. Okay, so now that you have this audience, what's a good way to bring up the idea of coaching or the idea of, hey, these Beachbody programs, hey, Shakeology? How do you get to that in a conversation without sounding like you're trying to sell something to somebody? That's really the goal here, I think, in the conversation. So I think the important thing that we need to talk about first is I think we as people, as coaches, we need to be more comfortable with talking about what we do as coaches. I mean, if we think about like our full-time jobs in general, let's just take that for instance. Okay, so like I'm an engineer. So if like people ask me what I do, like I don't feel weird being like, hey, I'm an engineer and this is exactly what I do. I probably feel like you're the same way, Julie. If somebody asks you what you do, you're not afraid to talk about that, right? You know stuff about it, you're good, you're like, talk about it, no big deal.
Yeah.
But I feel like when it comes to coaching, people are like, they're like a little worried about talking about it. Like, it's like, I don't know if I should talk about this because I don't want to sound like I'm trying to sell people on this idea. I feel like the more comfortable you are with accepting that you're a Beachbody coach and what that actually is, the better off you're going to be in conversations. I think the one thing that hurts conversations with people is when you're talking about, Beachbody, you're talking about the workout program, talking about Shakeology, or even you're talking about the coaching opportunity, is if you're not comfortable speaking about it, people pick up on that. And, that's kind of the thing that's going to turn people off to what you're presenting to them. So if you don't feel just as comfortable talking about Beachbody as you do, your real job, if you want to call it that, or, just anything else in your life in general, like what else do you like to talk about? People have kids, so they like to talk about their kids and what their kids are doing, for example. I don't know, people go on vacation, I like to talk about vacations. If you feel just as comfortable as talking about coaching as you do about any normal everyday activity, then I think it's going to work out a lot better for you. And the only way I think you get more comfortable with doing that is by doing it. So the more that you talk about it and you're not afraid to talk about it, the more comfortable and the better you're going to get at sharing it is what you do. So let's see. What's a good way to bring this up? Okay, so if we think of coaching as just like anything else, so we always talk about this conversation that you have with people and how easy it is. I really think it is to share Beachbody with people. Is whenever you come up to somebody, the first thing that's going to come out of your mouth or their mouth is going to be like, hey, what's up? What's new? What's going on? And that right there is the open door opportunity. Like, you just had a closed door in front of you and they just like open that wide up. So you can talk about whatever you want now because they already asked you. So remember, that's always kind of the goal that we kind of go back to. It's like, you want people to ask you questions, and as long as they ask you questions, you should feel comfortable answering those questions, right? So if people ask you what's up, you can talk about whatever you want at that point because they asked you what's up. So, I mean, you can talk about, now this is key here because I don't think you want to be like, hey, I'm a Beachbody coach now and you should do it too. Okay? You really got to do this the right way. And how you do it is you just talk about comfortably what it is that you're doing. So if we're going to just talk about Beachbody in general, maybe it's like you're going to talk about the fitness programs. Okay? Maybe it's like you just started doing Max 30 or something like that. You've been doing it for 30 days. So maybe you want to talk about that. And you want to talk about, what kind of workouts you do with Max 30 or like, what are your results like so far? How has that been going for you? Talk about it just as you would if you weren't a coach. You just bought this program and you're excited because you're getting results. I mean, that's why people get excited about doing fitness stuff and eating better, because they're getting results, they feel better, and they're telling people about it. It's like anything else, okay? So if we can focus on, I think that, like, okay, this is just what I'm doing, and now I want to share this with people because I think it's a good thing. I mean, I can tell you personally, before I was even a coach, the first program I did was Insanity. So I started with Insanity, and I did 60 days, the whole program of Insanity. No, I wasn't a coach. I got done, lost a bunch of weight, and I was like, Insanity is the best program ever. Everyone's got to do it. So I'm just out there like spreading the word, like, Insanity, you guys got to do this. Insanity, you guys got to get on this program. Go buy it. I don't care if you want to borrow. Here, do this. You got to come try one with me. And I was like just shouting Insanity from the rooftops to everybody because I was excited about it. Little did I know that there was this coaching opportunity where I could have been, earning some money off of being super excited about the program too. But if you're going at it with like that mentality that you have something that's working for you and all you want to do is share it with other people, this is going to work for you. These conversations are going to go a lot better for you. So let's try to do it from that aspect. We're not really trying to like shove things down people's throats like, oh yeah, so I'm doing Insanity. And, oh, but the challenge pack's on sale this month, so you should totally get it. You can get it from me. Don't do that. Okay. So just share what it is you're doing. Try to engage with them and get them to ask you questions about that. If they don't, cool. You don't have to like keep shoving info at them. Okay. You just stop. That's fine, because the next time that you talk to them, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to say, what's up? And you're going to say, hey, now I'm on day 60 of Max 30 and my results are this. So when we talked like 30 days ago, I lost 4 pounds. Now I've lost 12 pounds. This program's awesome. I'm going to get ready to start it all over again next week, Monday. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm kind of excited to see where the next 60 days go. Talk about it just like your average everyday person. You're not a Beachbody coach. You're not trying to sell anything. I think that's the most important part.
And how do you recommend doing it to people that you don't know? You just met this person. Can I give you an example?
Sure.
Stand up, Gavin.
Stand up?
Yeah. What kind of shirt you have on?
I have a Marquette shirt on.
Okay.
What if I just had a white tee on? That would have really messed up your story.
I know, right? Dang.
I'm going to try to guard the light with my head.
Okay. So Gavin walks into the store, the grocery store, and he has this Marquette basketball shirt. I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? I love Marquette. You start up a conversation about Marquette or whatever shirt he's got on, and then say, hey, I love this, but I also love this kind of fitness program that I'm doing as well. Or, I'm into fitness. Do you do any workouts or anything? You can start up any kind of conversation with a type of article that they're wearing, or say, hey, he's at the grocery store next to the smoothies or the frozen fruit. Do you know how many times I've been in the grocery store and had a conversation about Shakeology because they were standing next to frozen fruit? Random people, you get a contact. Hey, you want to be a Facebook friend? Sure. You never know the random strangers you're going to meet that are now going to be your friends for life. So, keep those open minds and open doors.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good example. I mean, very much like you said, just try to find something that can spark a conversation. Like that was a cool idea, using like, my t-shirt, for example, and it very much like Julie was saying is you kind of like need to, you're going to try to take the conversation and somehow get it back into health and fitness. So, like if we're talking about like basketball, maybe it's like, oh, do you play basketball? Do you like playing basketball? Are you into sports? You can now you're into the sports conversation. Now it's like, oh, okay, you play basketball, so you must work out then, stay in shape, play basketball, right? Like what do you do for working out? Because I'm kind of into fitness. I work out a lot. Where do you work out at? Like all these different questions, and you can keep on spinning it around to finally get to where you want to go. Because if they're going to tell you like what they're doing for their fitness, and you told them you like fitness, their next question is probably going to be like, well, what do you do? Or like,
hey, have you tried Asylum?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So there you go. You just take it and you can keep working your way towards Beachbody. Just remember, don't ever force the conversation. You still want to get them to engage you and ask you questions. So if they're not like biting at what you're talking about, that's fine. You can leave the conversation there. You tried, you sparked up conversation, and all this is doing is making you better at doing this all the time. This is it. Talking to complete strangers is kind of like a new thing for people. Not everybody's comfortable with just going up to somebody and talking to them. But I think the more that you do it, the more you're going to find like people are okay with talking to you. They're just not always the best at engaging in conversation with you to start it up. So if you're the one that's engaging conversation and it just so happens that you hit on something that they really like, they'll sit there and they'll talk to you. They want to talk about stuff that they like just like you want to talk about stuff that you like. So I think that that's kind of a cool thing. So just kind of, like Julia's saying at grocery stores, like use the surroundings, look at what they're doing, look at what they're looking at or grabbing off the shelf, how can you relate to that? Or what's the story you have about that? Or are you trying to look at something that's very similar to that? Or are you going to compare like, okay, well, what's that one? Have you tried that one before? I usually get this one. So like, how are these ones different? The difference between these two? Oh, maybe I'll try that one that you're trying, so, do that type of stuff, engage with people. And then like Julie said, if possible, even try to, get some contact information for the people, like people are okay with being Facebook friends, you'll be surprised how many people are like, oh yeah, I'm on Facebook, it's like, oh yeah, you should check me out on there. I do a lot of health and fitness stuff, or I have like I try to do healthy eating and like fun recipes for people and stuff like that. So if you're interested, you should just, friend me on Facebook. Here, I'll invite you right now. Cool. Done.
Don't forget your wear and share too.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, wear and share is huge. It's kind of like, for people that are, that don't like to start that conversation, you're going to attract those people that aren't afraid to start the conversation with you because they're going to see your shirt, for example, and, say it says insanity or it says insanity max 30. Well, maybe people know what insanity is, but they've never heard of max 30 before. And if they like insanity, they're going to see your shirt. And if they're okay and they're comfortable starting conversations, they're going to be like, oh, insanity. I love insanity. I've done the program a couple times now. I love it. What's that max 30 thing? I've never heard of that before. Boom, they just opened up the door right for you right there. So your clothing, your attire is going to help bring people in too. Very much like Julie said, I've had tons of people. I love doing it like when I'm traveling, like going through airports and stuff like that because there's such a diverse group of people from like all over. Because I seem to find like certain people from certain locations are much better at starting conversations with you than from other places. Like I feel like people from the South just want to like talk to everyone. Like they're just ready to talk all the time. They just want to talk. So now if they see your shirt and they know what that is or they know something about that, they'll be the first ones to come up to you and ask you questions about it. Mm-hmm. So they'll, when you get yourself into areas or into situations or like if you're going out to like, I don't know, a gathering, like a picnic or something like that, just those small items, even if it's a hat or, it's a shirt or, I don't know, shorts or whatever that just has some kind of Beachbody branding on it, people are that's going to spark the conversation and then again, get you in the door to feel comfortable talking about, what it is that is on your clothes or whatever, for example. So yeah, that's another one. Wear and share is good. What else?
I wish there were more people on the call. We could ask them what they have difficulties with.
Yeah, right. This is fun because it's like me and you. It's like a panel. Ask me a question and then I'll answer it for you.
I've had difficulties I've been in a salon getting a pedicure of all places and had a lady sitting next to me in her sports attire and started up a conversation with her that way. And by the end of the conversation, her daughter-in-law had done T25. She knew about Beachbody. I got her contact information. Hey, I felt like that was a pretty positive thing and I got a pedicure. So what the heck?
Score across the board. I guess the other one that we can kind of talk about, which I feel like maybe some people don't feel as comfortable talking about, is talking about coaching in general. Mm-hmm. So the one thing that I think we should focus on a little bit there is like, I think that in order for you to feel more comfortable about talking about coaching, I feel like some people need to know more about what coaching is. Okay, I don't want anybody to get themselves into a situation where they're getting asked questions that they don't necessarily know the answers to. I think it's perfectly okay to be like, hey, I'm kind of new to this and I don't actually know the answer to that question, but I'll definitely get you the answer. I think that that's cool to say, and I think that, there's something to be said about saying something like that. Like, you don't want to give people false information. So instead of guessing, you're like, oh, well, if you give me your contact info, I'll definitely get you that answer. And, I'll shoot it right over to you. I just got to ask the right person. Or, even if you're in a situation where you have access to, a phone and you want to shoot me a message or post something in the team page real quick, that's how you get your responses real quick like back. So I mean, even if you had something real quick, you can always pick up the phone, call me, shoot me a text, whatever, or one of the other leaders on the team, your upline, for example, and get those quick answers too. But I mean, it's like anything else, okay? Once again, let's go back to your job, okay? You didn't just get your job because they like you, okay? You got your job because you have skills in something. You studied to do something, you read some books, you did on the work, on job experience. I mean, you've done things to make yourself better at your position, and you keep doing it all the time. You're always growing in what you do, right? And it's no different with coaching. It's the same thing. You have to put in time to learn about what coaching is all about. You have to constantly grow yourself. That's why we talk about personal development all the time. That's why we talk about the coach trainings. We talk about all these different tools that you guys have to use. They're there, but you have to use them. I mean, it's like anything else. I mean, if you went to college or whatever, or you're studying to do something, if you don't open the book, how do you learn? I mean, you just can't do it. So that's exactly what we're talking about with coaching too. So you have to pick up the tools. You have to click the link. You have to watch the videos. That's how you learn more about what it is that we do. And you have to ask questions. I mean, that's the other thing. I mean, we talk about this all the time. If you don't know the answer to something, I don't want you to waste time like going through everything trying to find the answer. Just ask. Ask what your question is. If we know about something like, oh, hey, I know the answer to that, and I'm going to tell you what it is real quick, but I'm also going to show you that there's this video that also tells the answer, and it kind of expands on it a little bit more. So here's a video that you can watch too. We already know this. We as the leaders of the team, we already know this stuff because we've been doing it so long. We've been going through all the different trainings. We've been making the videos. We've been asked the questions. We know the answers. And if we don't know the answers, we're going to go find them because we want to know the answers just as much as you do, right? I mean, I want to know everything there is to know about coaching. That's me. I want to know it all because the more I know, the more comfortable I am talking with other people about it. I mean, I don't really think there's anything that people can really hit me with as far as coaching goes that I'm not going to have an answer to or be able to find it really quick. And that makes me more comfortable, talking about the opportunity to people. But very much like we were talking about, I think with customers, you can talk about coaching in the same way. You just have to get them to a point. You have to make the connection back to coaching somehow. So I'll give you an example. Okay, so I talk to a lot of like people who are like health and fitness, people who work out, people who like to eat healthy. That's my connection right there. Okay, I like to do the same thing. That's how I spark my conversation. Now, where I take it from there is, maybe we're talking about eating healthy, for example, and they're telling me, like, okay, well, here's what I buy at the grocery store. Here's kind of what my diet looks like. This is what I do every day. This is what I eat. And I'm like, that sounds great, and I like that some of the stuff that you're doing. I think that that's really great. I might even try some of these things. But the one problem that I have is I'm just like super busy. So it's really hard for me to like eat, make all these different things and eat healthy all the time like that. And so what I found is like, if I'm using Shakeology, which is this, health and wellness shake, that I can make it fast in the morning. It takes me like 3 minutes to make it, and I can drink it on my way to work. And then like, at least I know that I got all this stuff in, and like my breakfast is done. And they might be like, oh, that's cool. That's a cool idea. I don't know much about Shakeology. What's that? Oh, well, here's a website for it. Boom, shoot over your website on Shakeology. Check it out. That's that easy. Now you made the connection back to Shakeology. Now you can keep playing with this whole cycle of things. So now if they come back and they're like, oh, that sounds cool, but it looks kind of pricey. Well, now we can talk about coaching. Now you can bring that back around. Now you can talk about that. So there's kind of how the whole like thing plays out. When you're talking to health and fitness people too, there's people out there that are doing a job that they don't necessarily want to do, but they love health and fitness. And they would love a way to be able to do that full time, but they don't know how to make that transition. That's me. I'm right there with them, like I understand that too. So it's like, okay, well, here's an idea. This is what I'm doing, and this is going to help me make that transition over to where I want to be. Like I'm working a lot now, but using this coaching opportunity, here's how I'm going to make that transition over to what I really want to be doing. I just want to be doing training and doing the group fitness classes, and coaching is what's going to allow me to make the same amount that I make at my full-time job, but be able to then quit that job and then just do coaching and exactly what I want to do in health and fitness at the same time. Oh, that sounds like a cool idea. Like, how does that work exactly? Well, here, let me shoot you over some info. Let me jump on the phone with you real quick and talk to you. Do those things. Honestly, let's stop the text messaging so much and jump on the phone with somebody and actually talk to them. That's so huge. Hearing people's voices and hearing emotion behind what you're talking about and all that stuff, it's way more huge, should I say? Does that make sense?
More personal.
More personal. Good. Perfect. Be more personal with people, because I think people appreciate that a lot more. And I think you'll start finding that the more personal you get with people, the better your results are going to be with those people too. Anybody can text somebody back and forth. You can do that. But at some point, just be like, I get your question and I want to answer that for you, but can we just jump on the phone, because I just don't want to type this whole thing out, and I don't think it will make a lot of sense. And if you have more questions on top of that, it's probably easier to just jump on the phone with you. Do you have some time right now? Do you have some time later tonight? What does your schedule look like? I'll just work into whenever you have time, and then we can call and we can just talk about it for 10 minutes. So get on the phone with people, get more comfortable with doing it. The more you do it, the better it's going to be. You also have access to stuff like this. You can Zoom chat with people. That cycling thing, I'm not really quite understanding that yet. Can you show me how that works? Sure. Here, let's jump on a Zoom call real quick. I got a whiteboard. I'll draw it up for you. Cool, done. Or, hey, here's this YouTube video. This is Gavin. He's really awesome. He'll show you how to do it. If you got any questions, let's jump on the phone and we can, I'll talk through the video with you and you can tell me where you get questions at. So these are just a few ideas. Like I said, it's a few ideas. There's tons of ways to do this, but those are kind of the ideas of how do you get that conversation started with people, and what do you do to introduce the idea of coaching or the idea of just Beachbody in general to people. Always focus on getting them to ask you questions, though. Okay, if you feel like you're forcing information at people, then you're not doing it right. Okay, if they're not engaging back with you, that's fine. People like to talk about themselves. We know that. I like talking about me. And sometimes they're not necessarily too concerned with you. They just want to talk about them. So let them talk about them, because they're going to appreciate that down the road. You're going to become Facebook friends. You're going to be like, hey man, how's it going? Oh yeah, I remember you were going to go on that field trip with your son. How did that field trip go? And I'm like, oh my God, you remember that? That's crazy. Oh, it went like this, blah, blah, blah. And they're going to lay out your whole day, 7 to 3. This is what we did. Everything. Boom, boom, boom. This is everything that we did. But at some point, they're going to start asking you questions too. And that's when it's going to pay off, So we always talk about this whole networking thing and inviting people. And I think we need to understand that inviting people doesn't necessarily always mean inviting to Beachbody. It just means talking with people, getting to know people, getting more people in your network, people that you're talking to. Focus on people, focus on, what's going on in their life, and then they're going to focus on what's going on in yours. So
I think it's important too, coaching is a mindset, and you have to relax. You really have to enjoy it. If you're not enjoying it, they're going to see that. Yeah. And you don't want to do something you don't enjoy. So just relax and enjoy it, have fun with it.
Right.
So, and make sure that Gavin said, you connect and then you listen. Be a very good listener, because that's what people have a lot of problem with. They just want to get excited and have verbal diarrhea and spill everything out, and nobody wants to hear it. Be a good listener and listen to their why, and then you can help them.
Yeah, I think a good point to take out of the whole verbal diarrhea thing is only answer the question that they ask. Okay, so don't go too far with your answers. Don't spill everything out. Just answer what they ask you. Okay, focus on that piece of it. Because I mean, if you are really excited about Beachbody and you love it, it's really easy to talk about it and get carried away with talking about it. I mean, you just want to tell everybody everything there is to know about it, and they don't really care. They just want to know one thing, not 20 things. Okay, so just focus on that one thing that they want to know, and then take the conversation from there. That's, going back, that's why we have all the cool tools, if people want to know stuff, it's very easy to share videos, information. I mean, you have access to all of it. So, even if it's just instead of you actually talking about it, it's well, here, let me send you this video, because then you can kind of watch it. Maybe you don't have time right now to listen to me talk to you for 20 minutes about this, but hey, watch this video when you have some time, and then, hey, let's follow up tomorrow. Let's follow up tomorrow at 3. Does that work out for you? Cool, let's do that. Schedule some time, follow up. You got answer their question. Hopefully they have more. Okay, that's kind of how that whole thing goes. So, look, I just keep talking. You can't stop me.
Speaking of verbal diarrhea.
I just like to listen to myself talk. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Well, very informative, Gavin. Thank you.
I try to be very informative. That's kind of my thing. I don't know. I'm hoping that helps people. I mean, I'm not going to say that it's easy, because, I was definitely not the type of person to go up and talk to people when I first started Beachbody. And I know that was a big thing. And I feel like that's a different thing for a lot of people too. And so, yeah, it takes some time to do it. But like I said, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it, the easier it becomes. But you have to be comfortable with what you're doing and what you're talking about too. That's the huge one. So get comfortable with being a coach. Get comfortable with what that means. And just tell people what you're doing. You have to be okay with no's. You got to be okay with no all the time, because you're going to get them. You can't let them get you down.
Yep.
But people are going to say no. They're going to do it all the time. But
and we're going to fail, and then we pick ourselves up and we learn from it.
Exactly.
Are you getting beat by your dog?
Oh, they're playing.
Oh.
We named her Chewy.
That's funny.
So do you think, what else? I don't know if there's really anything else to share. I mean, if anybody else has like more specific questions, or, if you ever get yourself into a scenario, where you're talking with somebody and you don't know, where to take it. I think we've talked about the whole ghosting thing before, and I think it's a very useful tool, especially for new coaches. So don't ever feel bad about asking, me or your upline coach or whoever, like, hey, I'm in this conversation with somebody about coaching, and we're kind of messaging back and forth. This is what he's asking me, but I don't really know how to respond to it. Copy paste me the message or whoever and be like, okay, this is what they asked. How would you respond? We'll type in a response. You can send that response right back to them. We'll kind of talk through you to whoever you're talking to. That's what ghosting is. Okay. So don't be afraid to do that. Like I said, I don't want you guys to feel like you got to know a lot about coaching to feel comfortable talking about it. But I don't want you to lose potential coaches because you don't know enough information. And instead of like giving them a line like, well, I don't know that, let me find out the answer for you real quick, you're kind of just like, well, I think it works like this, or I think that's how it works. Nobody wants to know how you think it works. They just want to know how it really works. Okay, so use us, use your tools, use your upline to help you with your conversations too. So never be afraid to use us as a tool as well. You have a bunch. Pick your favorites. I don't know. I think that's it. I'm getting tired talking.
I don't think that's possible.
Yeah.
Just saying, Gavin.
Yeah. So, like I said, if anybody else has any other questions or anything about, how to engage in that conversation, this is obviously a super hot topic with coaching. Because for most people, it's requiring you to do something new, something you've never done before. So, ask questions, get out there and do it so you get more comfortable. But yeah, we're here. So ask away. We have answers if you have questions. Anything else? Anybody? Either one? Good to go? All right. Yeah, that's it. Team call done. So I'll let you guys know if we're going to end up changing the team call time. I don't know if we will, just based on it seems like everybody's schedules are different. So, if we can, I'm trying to get a time where more people can get on if possible. But if not, we'll keep holding them at the same time. If you can get on, cool, get on. If not, the recordings will always be there for you guys to check out whenever you have some time. So keep the ideas coming regardless. So if there is something that you want talked about on the team call, please post it. so that we can make videos about it, because we might even make one before a team call comes around. I like making videos. So. If you want to listen to another hour video of Gavin talking about beachbody, please post what you want to hear about.
Thanks, Gavin.
Sure.
For all of your input, your knowledge.
It's always a pleasure, for sure. So have a fantastic Monday night, and I will see you guys probably in the sneak peek group a little bit, but on the next team call, I'll be here. Oh, look who's
Oh, Melissa's there.
Oh, hey,
Don't crash, Melissa.
Call's over. Sorry. Yeah. All right. I'll see you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.